This is the Endeavor Ranger, and it's the low-cost version of the Pioneer. And as you can see, it's got a lot of things similar to the Pioneer, just at a lower price point. This I think is $449. Pioneer's like $549 or $599, something like that. But this is on the table under the pretty lights, kind of show you the camber profile. You can see it feels very true twin, where the Pioneer I had, you know, and that's a demo model, has a different nose. You know, the nose was just slightly different in shape than the tail, but it felt like a true twin on snow, and this does as well. You know, this felt like a true twin, looks like a true twin, acts like a true twin, but we'll get into some more stuff here too. You can see it's got just a healthy bow of camber. You can see it's got a little more camber than my Pioneer, and that's not because they made this with more camber, just wood cures differently. Each board is different. You know, nobody can really make wood. It's all different. Every bit of wood is different, and it's very hard to get every camber profile to come out exactly the same. So some might be higher, some might be lower, some might have a little more early rise, some might have a little less, but you can see it's just a nice bow of camber, slowly transitioning into mellow early rise. And when you press down, you can see it kind of lifts up even more. It doesn't feel very catchy on snow, especially compared to like a full camber board like the Live. So let's get into the measurements here. People have asked me to measure the width over the binding. So this is the 156 versus the 54 Pioneer that we were looking at before. This is, and if you're just looking at this, go look at the Pioneer review after. You can see it's about 26.8, maybe a little wider, maybe a little narrower. It's really hard to tell. And about 25.8, 25.9, and it's the same way either way. Now, when you're talking setback on board for powder days, one of the things that just made me love the Ranger is it's always great to get on a mountain freestyle twin and have fun. I'm old and broken, but I like going out there, riding switch, playing around, and then, you know, but when it's a powder day, I like really setting it back and getting surfy, and this board can do both. Granted, it does, you know, it doesn't like duplicate the feeling you have of like the Maverick, the Archetype, and the Shorty, but it does a great job of getting close to it, and that's all you ask for in an all mountain board. They just do a little bit of everything well, nothing amazing, but this does a little bit of everything mostly very well, and that's really cool. So when you set it all the way back at a 22-inch stance width, which is great for most riders, if you go all the way to the little single arrow here, you're looking at a 5-inch difference between nose and tail, and about 2.5 inches back on board. So you're getting pretty far back. Like, this is where your bindings would be. Don't get EST bindings. Well, you can if you want, but we like that, you know, with EST, you're setting these up on the outside and you have less stance. You can slide it back less than you could with a Burton Reflex or any other binding where you mount the channel system in the disc. Almost every binding out there has adapted to this proprietary technology that Burton's trying to introduce, you know, throughout the industry. Endeavor picked up the channel system, but it's about the right time because almost every binding is Burton channel compatible, and this is the Burton channel system, licensed from them. So you put it in here, you might be able to get to this little arrow right here, and that's 2.5 inches back on board. You're really getting some good directional float, and I actually got this in some, you know, some pretty deep, thick powder, and it floated very well. as you can see from the footage above. And then if you can't get all the way back, or, you know, Endeavor says you shouldn't, you should stay here for some reason. The 3-arrow one is 4 inches difference between nose and tail, and 2 inches back on board, which is still really far back for an all-mountain board. Throw in a little early rise, and you know, this jams with the best of them, especially at this price point. You get a lot of pop, and oftentimes you don't get that setback on board and float. One of the better all-mountain boards out there for float, and highly recommendable. I liked the little extra pop of the Pioneer a little better, but man, for $449, this is one hell of a board. It's got a fast base, same base. You know what I love? Endeavor seems to have the same base throughout their whole line. You know, all their all-mountain and powder quiver / freeride boards, they all have this base. It's got really good glide to it, really absorbs wax well. So all in all, great board for the price point. Really hanging in there with a Pioneer. Pioneer's just a little bit better. And if you can pay that extra money, yeah, Pioneer. But if you can't and you just want to get the Ranger, you're going to have a great time, and you guys can have a beautiful life together. You can take the Ranger home to mom, for sure.